Welcome to the Soft Life with Saddie Baddies. Saddie Baddies is the antidote to mental health stigma, and this podcast is hosted by yours truly, Priscilla O. Adjaman. We are a virtual sanctuary centering Black and multiracial people, and we prioritize the mental and emotional nourishment that is the foundation of collective healing in our communities. Thank you for being here. Welcome back to the Soft Life Baddies. Happy October, happy Libra season, and soon to be Scorpio season. So all my Libras and Scorpios out there, I hope that you're having a beautiful fall and easing into this season. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we dropped our episode on designing your morning and night rituals and routines. And we shared the concept of designing a morning and night menu, which is the foundation and the template of starting your day off or ending your day with ease and softness. We also have started our own Substack. So if you are on Substack and you love reading long form content as much as we do, join us on Substack. The link will be in our bio, saddiebaddies.substack.com. Here you'll have way more in-depth articles and pieces and think pieces and lists and suggestions and kind of just all of our musings that we share and want to share through written format, which is our favorite format next to, of course, audio. And I hope that you just join this growing family of creatives and writers and people that are really introspective and want to dig a little bit deeper beyond maybe what you see on Instagram, on TikTok. So definitely tap into last week's episode if you haven't already. And also just a quick update. As far as our recording schedule, we have decided to actually go back to our original posting schedule, which is uploading episodes bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks, you will have a new episode. And reason being, because I want to keep it honest with you, creating long form content, and anyone who does create long form content, videos, YouTube videos, podcasts, books, anything that requires more length of time, I really think that when you dedicate and carve out time to creating and slowing down the process of executing and sharing, I've been feeling so much more inspired. And I'm in this for the long haul. As I tell you all the time, being a creative person is a life's mission for me. And I don't see myself rushing out of doing podcasting or running Saddie Baddies anytime soon. And because I am so committed and so rooted and grounded into this work, I need to find a pace that works for me. I need to find a pace that's sustainable, because I really have been seeing a lot of burnout among Black wellness leaders, especially Black women wellness leaders. And a lot of us are really burnt out because we do not give ourselves time to regroup after producing and executing and creating and ideating and doing all of this work. A lot of it is also by ourselves sometimes. And I'm so grateful and fortunate to have a small team that helps so much and helps bring this show to life. But realistically, it is a lot of work. And I really believe in slowing down. And what is the soft life if I'm not practicing softness myself and giving myself compassion, right? So I just want to share that little update with you. And bi-weekly episodes will be out every 2 weeks, and you can expect a mix of solo and guest episodes. And today we actually have our very first guest episode of the season with none other than Dominique Webb, who you may know as FairyBrandMuva on Instagram and all the other social media platforms. She is the Chief Creative Officer at Cult Creative Agency, which is a remote brand design agency and marketing consultancy for women of color owned brands. Dominique is a seasoned creative with over a decade of experience in the industry, and she is so well known for her innovative ideas and her impeccable, and I really truly mean impeccable, execution regarding brand building, content marketing, social media, and graphic design. Dominique has worked with many well-known brands such as Fenty Beauty and Fenty Corporation by Rihanna. I mean, come on. Issa Rae, SKIMS by Kim Kardashian, Netflix, and HBO Max. Dominique Webb has a deep understanding of Black culture and a passion for uplifting marginalized communities. And through Cult Creative Agency, she brings a unique perspective to her work. She is dedicated to creating branding and marketing solutions that are both aesthetically pleasing and socially responsible. In addition to her work at Cult Creative Agency, Dominique is also one of only 13,000 Black women farmers, and she uses her spare time to revitalize and expand her farm in Tennessee named Cult Farms. I have so much love and respect for Dominique. She is incredible. She is such a sweetheart. She is a wealth of knowledge and inspiration and creativity. And I'm so, so, so excited to share this episode with you. If you are someone that is, especially if you're into branding and marketing and creative marketing as well, she is really the guru. She's that girl when it comes to this industry. And I have so much respect for her and admiration. And let's welcome Dominique into the Soft Life. Welcome to the Soft Life. Today we have the incredible, the multi-hyphenate, that girl, Dominique Webb, also known as FairyBrandMuva. And welcome to the Soft Life, Dom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love this podcast.
Thank you so much for being here. We're so happy to have you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
We're so excited to talk today. And first things first, we want to know what the vibe check is. How are you feeling right now in this present moment? We just chatted a little bit about how it's Venus retrograde, it's a holiday week, and things are a little bit thrown off. But how are you feeling right now in this moment?
I'm feeling good. Like generally I'm feeling grounded in myself. I feel good. I feel present. It's just been a little weird, like we were talking about earlier. This week. I feel a lot of mental fogginess more so than anything, and having trouble focusing on the tasks at hand. But I'm feeling good generally. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Same here. We're getting through the fog though. I think the girls we're trying our best.
Yeah, we're doing our best. That's all we can do.
Yes. And tell us your origin story in your own words. You know, where are you from? What city or what environment resonates most with your upbringing? Mm-hmm. And, you can share any other details about essentially who you are in your own words and a short little word.
So my origin story, I love that. So I am from originally Antioch, Tennessee, which is a small city outside of Nashville. And so I normally just say I'm from Nashville because a lot of people don't know where Antioch is. Born and raised Tennessean, Southern girl. I would say city girl before I moved to the country. I lived in Nashville my entire life, went to school at UT, the University of Tennessee, and just kind of been living in the South my whole life. And I would describe myself as a Southern bred city girl turned country girl.
Yes. And for those who don't know, you are really giving like the Carrie Bradshaw of the South, I feel almost.
Thank in a way. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm gonna change my bio to that.
Please. Yeah, go ahead. Because I mean, yes, I think for a lot of folks, a lot of listeners know of your work, but what you create through your agency, Cult Creative Agency, is so dope, as well as the farm that you have. So we'll get into that too, but I think it's important to remember the setting that, you have been in for the majority of your life and how you've set roots there, but you also are, from what we know, what we can see, it looks like you have really evolved during your time living there. So can't wait to learn more about that.
Yeah. You asked me my big three. So I am a Leo sun, Sag moon, and a Aquarius rising. So I have a lot of fire and air in my in my chart, which is very prevalent in my personality. I would think I'm a pretty fiery individual, very opinionated. So that would be my origin. I think I've brought up in the South, country, loud, opinionated, eclectic. I think that that's how I would describe myself and my upbringing. Very,
I
very
love
different
that.
type of upbringing for sure.
I love that you picked 3 words also, country, loud,
Mm-hmm.
and eclectic. That's dope, and really paints a beautiful picture of your vibe, your aesthetic, as well
Yeah.
as what matters most to you as far as your environment goes too. I love that, and I love a Leo woman so
Yeah,
much. I
thank
love
you.
fire sign women. I'm a fire
People
sign.
down Leos, but I'm like, we're
I
actually
don't know
not as
why.
self-centered as people make it seem. I'm
Listen,
very actually the opposite of that. I feel like I put a lot of my energy outward and not like towards me. So
100%. I honestly, I'll go to bat for Leos,
yes,
okay? Because I'm like, they get such a bad rep, and I'm like, Leos are some of the most caring people you'll
we
ever meet.
are. I really think so. Thank you for that.
Yes,
We
for
need that
sure.
support.
We love it. Fire sign alliance right here, okay?
Hmm.
Um, we got to stick together. So let's talk about co-creative agency, the iconic agency that you've created.
Thank
I
you.
would love to know in your own words what the background story, the origin story is of co-creative.
Sure. So I'll start from college. So when I graduated college December 2013, English major. I was an English major because I love reading and writing. But I didn't want to be a science major, even though I wanted to originally be a doctor. So I took English and I took all the prerequisites for medical school. Went through college like that and had my sights set on going to med school. But when it came time to take the MCAT, I just bombed it. And I took it a few times and I just realized
Yeah.
then that that wasn't my path. And so then I
Mm.
went into clinical research, which was a very lucrative career for me. I worked all the way up to like director of clinical research. I thought that was going to
Wow.
be my jam. And I hated corporate America because it actually was everything that I wasn't. Like I said, I'm a very
Mm.
eclectic person. I have a bunch of tattoos, big hair, long nails, and that's just so like opposite of what corporate
Yeah,
America expected from me. So I
especially
don't want to
clinical
say,
research.
yeah, especially for research,
Mhm.
right? So I'm working
Yeah,
with like clinical trials, and that just
yeah,
wasn't the vibe, and I didn't
yeah.
fit in. I did not fit in.
Feel that.
So
Yep.
I don't want to say that I was unemployable, but I had a problem keeping jobs. I
Mm.
just was one of those very loud. If something was wrong, I would vocalize it. And that just wasn't the corporate standard. So I did not fit in. I lost a lot of jobs. And that's when I just decided after I think it was my second job loss, I got fired from that job for something
Mm.
very stupid, but that's neither here nor there. I I went ahead and decided to start my own business because I needed, money and I needed to keep myself afloat. So I started leaning on my English background and I created a copywriting studio called The Writer's Block. And so that is the
Mm.
origin of Cult Creative Agency. It was originally a copywriting, resume writing business, and it was very lucrative. I loved it for a while, and then it became kind of tedious. And so I ended
Yeah.
up changing routes from copywriting and resume writing and moving into graphic design. So I'm a self-taught designer. I actually haven't been designing that long. When I decided to shift gears from copywriting to designing, because I was designing all of my own graphics at the time, I
Mhm.
realized that there was a kind of like gap in that. One, there's not a lot of Black owned agencies. And
Right.
there's very few Black designers. So I was like,
Yeah.
I want to create something that is solely for us, that's geared toward Black and brown brands. And so that's where Cult was born. I rebranded the Writer's Block into Cult Creative Agency. And I've been doing that ever since. And we turn 7 next week. So we've
Oh
been
my
doing
God.
that for a long time. Yeah.
How aligned.
Yeah. So I
Right.
really, that's kind of where we branched off. And now I'm just trying to grow the agency and become like a Kylie Jenner and start making sub brands from that.
I love it. First of all, I mean, happy early birthday
Thank
to
you.
Cult Creative. That is dope. Today is also July 7th,
I
7/7,
know.
7 year. And it's, yeah, that's just
Yeah.
like I love the numerology there. That is so dope. And I stand a nonlinear path.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so here for the nonlinear path, the detours, the rerouting of life is honestly that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
And I think the more people lean into that, just like you did with, coming from a clinical research background, I myself have a background in clinical research. I
Oh
know
my
we
gosh.
but
Yeah, we
yeah,
talked about that. Oh my
we
gosh.
could we touched on that a little bit. So I know exactly how that field is, and it is
Yeah.
very it's very sterile, honestly.
Yes.
Like, so there's not a lot of room for creativity.
Mm-mm.
I also found myself in that kind of like feeling not able to really wiggle out of
Yeah.
that kind of like very strict and predictable environment.
Yes.
And I'm so happy that you followed your intuition. And
It was hard to do that at first, though,
yeah,
because at the time, now we're in a more creatively like pleasing era where people, it's
yes,
acceptable and palatable to be an entrepreneur. But at the time,
yeah,
I had just graduated like 2 years prior, well, about 3 years prior before I created the business. And it wasn't the norm to be an entrepreneur in the creative
right.
field. And so I was really stepping out on uncharted territory. And it wasn't as accepted as it is now.
Absolutely. No, that makes so much sense because I was going to say, about 7 years ago, I didn't know really anyone my age that was a CEO or was an
Mm-mm.
entrepreneur or started their own business or agency.
Yeah,
That
and
was
of course,
unheard
people
of.
don't take you seriously,
Right,
at
of
first.
course.
Yeah,
And I feel like if there were people that were self-employed, it was like I'm a real estate agent or
right.
I'm in the service, like the beauty service industry,
Hmm.
for example. Like I do hair, I do nails, and now we're seeing so much of a wider pool of what it means to be a creative entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
can you talk more about how you you gravitated towards being a creative entrepreneur for a time, but when did you know it was okay? This is my moment beyond the aftermath or the circumstances you were in with your corporate role and not wanting to have that be a long-term goal for you. When did you have a download or did you have something that really made you realize like it's time to leave and pivot?
Yeah, I think that I always knew. Because
Mhm.
even the thing where I said in college, I don't want to take I don't want to be like a scientific major. That should
Yeah,
have been kind of the thing that told me like maybe this isn't what you want to do. I knew that being
yeah,
a doctor was lucrative, and I think that coming from a very like working poor background, I was looking for the most lucrative thing, and I loved Grey's Anatomy and all that stuff. So I was like, a
yes.
doctor is
Oh my god,
like that is me, right?
yes,
And
yep,
so throughout college, like I hated all of my science classes. So that kind of was my inkling that maybe this isn't for me, but I kept pushing. I
yeah,
would say when I got fired, that was the biggest turning point for me that this is not
mm,
what I need, and even no
yeah,
amount of money would make me happy because, like I said, I was the director of clinical research and, that was a lucrative position. I was making six figures
yes,
way before I started my business, but I
yeah.
hated it. And so I just was like, it was spiritual, I think, for me.
Mm,
I felt it in my spirit that this isn't for me, and if I really want to make the impact that I know I can make, I have to just step out on faith. And so that
yeah,
was when I started the writer's block, and it was scary at first, and I took a very huge pay cut, obviously,
yeah,
but I made it work. But that was my
yes,
first. I think I had all the signs along the way told me that that wasn't the career path for me, but I was kind of resisting. And I finally, after getting fired the second time, was like, yeah, this is not it.
yeah.
This is not it.
When you know, you know.
When you
When
know,
you
you
know,
know.
you know.
Yeah, you got to lean
Yes.
into it, even if it's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I want to hear more about some of the highlights and the achievements and maybe even like your favorite projects that you've worked with or your dream
Yeah.
clients you've worked with co-creative.
Yeah. So we have The way that we are now modeling the agency, I still work with like starter businesses because
Mm.
that's just like my passion, and I've been there, so I understand the challenges, and I want to service Black owned businesses, Black women owned businesses, especially. So I love that we work with smaller brands, but I also work with, celebrity brands. I've worked with Fenty. I've worked with Issa Rae on Insecure. It's
That's so
been,
dope.
yeah, we've had some really great projects. So I can't really name a favorite. I think every
Yeah.
project that I take on has a sentimental value to me because I see either myself in that brand or I really align with the mission. But all of the brands that I work with are pretty much Black owned or, Black woman led spaces. And so I think that that's the highlight of the agency because it is so curved towards Black owned businesses and
Yeah.
Black women owned businesses. And that's really something that our mission like reflects.
I love that. That's so dope.
Thank
That's so
you.
dope. And what are some of the commonalities, or what is something that you notice since you do really focus on, I know that you've worked with, other brands like Target and,
Hmm.
so many other beauty brands and just corporations in general, but what is something that you love about working with Black owned or Black and brown businesses the most?
I think that we are just the thread of the culture. Like we
Yeah.
are we dictate kind of the trends. And so I
Yes.
see that with these smaller businesses, they're coming in and they're like, hey, I have this idea, and they just need somebody to carry it out. And so I think that just the creativity keeps me inspired, and it keeps me invested in my business because it's driving other businesses. So I'm putting
Yeah.
money back into, other Black owned businesses by branding them and making their brands palatable for the public. It's like, okay, now I'm putting something out into the world for you to put out that other people
Yeah.
can buy into. And I think that that just keeps that wealth in our communities. So that's something that I really love and enjoy, that we
Yeah.
can keep that thread going. And I think that it even shows that we're more willing to lift each other up because it's a Black owned brand hiring a
Yes.
Black owned agency to brand them.
Yeah.
And it's really special.
That is so dope. So, so dope. And it reminds me of Issa Rae's, quote about networking across. And
Yes.
really, I think when it comes to social climbing or
Hmm.
having, even though we're in this creative space, there still is somewhat of a ladder.
Yeah.
There still are people that gatekeep,
Oh,
but
yeah.
networking across really allows you to see how much of these different businesses, companies, brands, they really have so much to offer within each other too. Like we don't
Right.
always have to outsource. Like we can keep it, within the community if we
Right.
learn how to, connect those dots. So
Exactly. And I
yeah.
think you said something about challenges. That's something that I noticed. Like
Yes.
there, even though, I do keep it, I try to keep it in the community. A lot of people don't, and it is a lot
Yeah.
of kind of clout chasing sometimes and not wanting to network across and reach to your neighbor.
Yeah.
And I'm very
Yeah.
much a community oriented brand in person. So
Yes.
I see a lot of that, unfortunately, in our community, especially with each other. And I think that we would be better suited if we do, reach across and network across. But a lot of people,
Yes.
don't want to do that, and they don't want to take that chance on a Black owned brand, So that is
Yeah.
something that I see as a pitfall and a challenge within our
Yeah.
own community and brands, for sure.
Yeah. What are some of the other challenges just in terms of it could be as, with keeping a routine that is balanced for you or,
Yeah.
clientele that maybe was aligned at one point but is no longer aligned with your goals? Like what are
Yeah.
some of the other challenges that you've experienced being a creative
Ooh.
entrepreneur?
Being an entrepreneur has its pitfalls. I will say, building my business, it's been very much like just nose to the ground. I would say capital is the issue across, like just
Mm,
making sure you have the money to sustain your business. I think
yeah.
when people start seeing you rise as well, it's interesting to see how that energy shifts. Uh,
Yeah.
there are people who I was friends with before who saw me in the trenches with, my corporate upbringing. I went to school with them, and they. I wouldn't say that I was described as a fuck up, but I definitely was the person who was like all over the place. It's like, oh, are you in
Mm,
research? What do you do again? Like,
yeah.
and so seeing me kind of carve and forge my own path out, I think a lot of people doubted me during that time, and just like seeing how that energy has shifted is very interesting and challenging, because people like to bring up the old you and the old version of things. And they
Talk
don't
about
really
it.
want to see you
Yeah.
shine, and
Yeah.
I don't even want to say I've reached my peak yet. I'm still growing my
Yeah.
business. I'm still learning, but a lot of people, the hating was a different thing,
Yeah.
because that's not my energy. So seeing a lot of
Yeah.
people switch up was definitely challenging for me.
Oof.
Yeah.
That that hit home. That
Yeah,
hit
it was
home.
it's like you don't really realize that, people are hating on you until it's like, wow, where is this energy coming from?
And then you have to realize that half the time, more than half the time, it's projection.
It's
Half the
projection.
time, it's people internalizing your lived experiences and
Yes.
inserting themselves in your reality.
Mhm.
And I think we see that all the time on social media. We see that throughout, just in our relationships, our
Yeah.
friendships, our social networks. And I think the awareness factor is so important. But just to hear that you deal with that as well, I think it just kind of
Yeah. And
it
it
just validates.
sucks. It really sucks because,
It
you
does.
think that people, especially when you're that type of person, like I don't
Yes.
consider myself a hater. I'm a girl's girl. I love
Oh,
cheering on.
way.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love cheering everybody on. And so you think
Yeah.
that other people are doing the same for you. So when you figure out
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this is actually not positive energy that you're sending me,
Yeah.
it's very eye opening, especially when it's coming from people in your own community. So I'll say that's my challenge. Like I
Yeah.
do things in service to my community, but I also get some backlash for that from my own
Yeah.
community. And that's hard
Yeah.
sometimes.
How do you create boundaries in that case? I mean, I feel 1000% everything that you shared. And I know in my experience, I have learned to distinguish associates versus
Yes.
acquaintances
That was
versus
hard for
people
me.
in my network
Yeah.
versus like close friends. I've had
Hmm.
to literally start compartmentalizing so that I don't put these expectations on someone
Absolutely.
who's an associate versus someone who's a close friend. But I'd love to hear how you have learned how to create those boundaries. Or
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I used to be an oversharer, and I used to really, especially coming up with like business wise and personal, I used to just share
mm,
everything about my journey because I'm thinking we're in this together. Y'all are watching me grow in
yeah.
real time. I think I've become a little bit more recluse, I don't
Yeah.
share myself as much. I gatekeep myself essentially. I think that my
Yeah.
energy is special and it should be reserved for people who are deserving of that. And that's not to say that the internet is not deserving of that, but I just pick and choose, and I'm more selective of what I share, when I share, who I share it with. I have very strict boundaries on my social media time. Like you can DM me all day, but I'm not gonna respond when you want me to respond. I have a 50 other things going on. I just keep my boundaries when it comes to, what people know about me, what I tell people, what I
Yes.
share. And I used to just be a little bit more transparent, but I've kind of
Yeah.
kept that a little bit more guarded now that I've gotten older and a little bit more, um, you know, uh,
Yeah.
solidified in my career.
Yes, we love that. We love that. I know all the I could just imagine like all the like the water signs being like, yes, protect your peace, because one thing about a Scorpio and a Pisces, they're gonna
Yes,
be private. You're not gonna hear
absolutely.
nothing.
Yeah. I used
Aquarius
to feel
too.
like I
Mm-hmm.
used to feel like I should share more. And you
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yep.
Especially in
Yep.
social media, like we feel like we've got to
100%.
share all of our things. And I
Yes.
always
Yep.
wanted to be like real and make sure that
Yeah.
people saw the good with the bad. But a lot of people don't
Yeah.
deserve that. And they're just collecting
No.
information. So figuring
taking notes,
out,
like
yeah, taking notes, like, yeah, this is her downfall, this is her weakness. And so I've just had to figure out, you know, who to
yeah,
be able to pour into, and who
yeah.
I have to be a little bit more secretive with. And I think
I love that.
gatekeeping my energy has been my biggest thing that I
Yeah.
have done.
Yes, my mom has, you know, instilled in me. I grew up in like Christian household, and although my spirituality has evolved a lot since then,
Same.
yeah, although it's evolved a lot since then, she always used to tell me that I had a lot of discernment.
Hmm.
And like using discernment in your life is so important. And that's something that has stuck with me like throughout my life now, is like knowing, just having that intuition, that knowing and understanding will take you so far.
Yes. And that's a
And
muscle you have to build. That's a muscle
yes,
you have to build over time. Like I said, I was not very discerning when I was coming up.
yeah,
And even in college, I just, you know, anybody who would be willing to be my friend, we're friends. You're my bestie. We're buying
yes,
shots,
yeah,
you know? And
yeah,
it's a slippery slope when you're a giver, because a lot of people are just takers, you know? So you got to learn to discern who's there for you and who's
absolutely.
just there for the ride. And that was hard for me for a while.
Yes, yes. But growth is here, you know,
Yes.
and evolving and learning from those experiences only makes us so much wiser in the end of the day. I love that so much, and I resonate so deeply with that. I want to hear more about Cult Farms, which
Hmm.
is your farm that you
Yes.
own. If that doesn't scream multi hyphenate, I don't know what
I
does. But
know.
you're
People
part
look
of
at my stories and they're like, girl, how in the hell?
I know. I saw your tweet the other day. I was on Twitter and I saw you posted like you're hand picking cucumbers and tomatoes, and someone was like, "Girl, how much time do you have in the day?" You're like, "My days are long.
My days
My
are
days are long." I was like,
long. I mean,
I feel that.
long.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't
So,
have a farm, but I can only imagine how long those days are. But tell us
yeah.
more about Colt Farms and what your day to day is like.
Sure. So
Yes,
Colt
tell us.
Farms came to be.
Mhm.
COVID was hard. I lost a lot of people in my family, beginning in late 2019 till about 2021. I lost 9 people in my
Mhm.
family. My dad passed,
Mhm.
my granny passed, my grandfather passed, my aunts passed. So everyone who this farm belonged to died,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh.
very devastating for me. I had no clue, you know. I mean, I grew up out here. I would come out here during the summer, and hang out with my great grandparents, but I never thought that it would be, I knew that it was like a line of succession pretty
Yeah.
much. But yeah, so this farm belongs to my paternal family side, and
Wow.
my dad's parents owned this property. So before
Mm.
we bought this land, we worked the land. So it's been in our family since like the 1700s, all the way.
What?
Yeah, so it's a long time
That's
coming.
insane.
Yeah, and we actually owned way more land than this, but we've sold it to a lot of businesses around the area. But yeah,
Wow.
I didn't think that it was such a big deal growing up, and I actually hated coming out here because I'm like, ugh, it's just boring and a plot of
Yeah.
land. But over time, I was taught the significance of that, and that it wasn't a normal thing at all, actually. So yeah, I had 9 people pass from COVID, and I just kind of came into it. My family, we were discussing how we were going to move forward with it, because it's expensive to upkeep and maintain. And originally we were going to sell it, but I just couldn't. I couldn't let us do that. I have too many
Mhm.
memories out here, and you know our family lineage is out here. Like we have a Lord, what is it called? A cemetery. Sorry, I lost the word.
Oh,
We have
yeah.
a
Yeah.
cemetery where all of my paternal lineage is buried. So my grandparents are buried out
Wow.
there. My aunts, my great grandparents, their parents are all buried there, and my dad is buried there too. So
Oh,
all of them are buried on this plot of land, and it's really
yeah.
significant. So I decided to,
Yeah.
instead of us selling it and getting the money, I just was like, I'll move out there and I'll take over the
Yeah.
expenses. And so I did that in 2021, And I've been pretty much revitalizing it because we've had in the beginning, back when I was little, we had horses and cows and like just a big
Yeah.
farm, working farm. But over time, that dissipated, and it just kind of became this land that was overgrown and not taken care of anymore. And so now I'm revitalizing the land. I have a developer out here that comes out here to help me figure out where we're going to put all the plots and stuff like that. I have my own little garden, and it's just a lot it's a lot.
Are y'all hearing this? Like that, first of all, I am blown away by how just I can't even wrap my head around how much pressure that must have been on you
It was.
to literally take your family's legacy and not only take it but run with it. So I salute you. I'm
Thanks so
giving
much.
you all the flowers. I'm sending you so much love
Thank
because
you.
I just know that your loved ones and your family are so proud of you
Thank
for
you.
taking on this legacy. This is
Yeah.
huge, and that is incredible. What was it like, being someone who's in a completely different industry, like has your own business, an entrepreneur, and then being like, wait, now I need to take on this role as leading and taking over my family's farm and their land. And this is not, to me, it sounds like it's way more than just farm. Like this is your
Yeah.
family's legacy. This is their,
Yeah. It
your
wasn't
heritage.
just yeah. So a lot of people, I think there's a misconception there. Like a lot of people think like I'm running a farm. Like it's way more than that, like I
Yeah,
said, it's dating back to the 1700s.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I felt immense pressure to move out here and keep this land going.
yeah.
And before I moved out here, I had to do a lot of changes to even get the house that I'm living in work in order. My great grandfather built this
Mhm.
house, and I had to get it, up to code to live in. So it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure. I took on a lot of roles that I had no clue. I've never been taught this. Even though I was
Yeah,
around, I was a
yeah,
kid during those times, and no one told me the steps to running a farm. And so
yeah.
it's been a lot of just nose to the ground, just like starting a whole other business, pretty much. Researching, talking to my neighbors, getting to know people. I spent the first year just going to my neighbors, farms and learning how to upkeep the land and figuring out who to hire to outsource things so I can keep my business running while everyone else is running the show out there. And so it's
Yeah.
been a hard adjustment, especially coming from the city and not knowing anything about country life. I think that I've adjusted now, my second year in, but the first year it was rough, and I didn't realize how rough of a transition it was because not only was I taking on such a huge task because it's 47 acres of land, so it's so much land.
Wow,
Yeah, it's
that's
so much land, but
huge.
also it's expensive to maintain. So that
Yes.
was an added kind of pressure, because the house I was living in, I wasn't
Yeah.
paying rent. It was none of that. And so I would go from there to having to take care of all of this land. It was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've made it work. I've made it work. And I've bought some tractors and I rent those out to people. And, I don't know how I keep it going. I'm going to be honest. People ask me that all the time. I have no clue. My days start at like 5 a.m. and I'm outside from probably 5 a.m. to like 9 a.m. I have my business set up where I don't get started work until like 11 a.m. So I work from 11 to like maybe 4 every day. And then
Hmm.
the rest of the day is kind of whatever else needs to get handled. But time management is kind of up in the air because every day looks different. I could be outside for hours, or I could, have people here that's doing work, and I have calls with the agency. So it's actually fun to me, because I think that the monotony of clinical research was something that I hated so much. And so
Yeah.
now my life is just so all over the place that it's like I actually like it. It's a calm chaos that I like to it.
Yes. That is incredible.
Thank
That is
you.
incredible. So, so dope. By any chance, do you know your human design type?
Oh my gosh. So I looked into that. Somebody told me to look into that. I think I'm a projector. It
Really?
says I'm a
Okay.
projector, but I
Okay.
align more with the manifesting generator. to me.
Yeah. I
Um,
was gonna say
yeah. I don't
it
know.
sounds like
I don't really know much about human design, but there are
yeah.
some projector things that resonate with me, but I resonate with
Mhm.
the manifesting generator for
The
sure.
multi-hyphenate part is like, it jumps out. So I was just like, here's some like, because I'm also a manifesting generator, but yeah, you literally are like, it's like Hannah Montana, but
Yeah, it's
with
like a hood Hannah
co-creative and
Montana.
co-stars.
Exactly. Like I really can't describe it. And I honestly did not think that it was so um other people tell me how kind of incredible it is. But I think
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
when we look at ourselves and I just kind of like downplay it, I'm like, well, it's not that
Yeah,
much, but I guess it
yeah.
is, you know? When I talk to other people, they're like, girl, please. And then here I am thinking about going to law school. Like, please, like, please don't do another
That is
thing.
so funny. No, I honestly feel like you don't realize how crazy your life is, or how like unbelievable, or like, I guess, exciting or unusual, I guess is the better word,
Yeah.
your life is, until you tell someone like what you do, and then they're like, damn, and you're like, oh. And
Right?
you know, you're
Yeah.
so used to downplaying, because this is your life. This is not like, this is, you know, what you share, what people see on social media.
Right.
You know, that's the only perception they're really getting if they don't know you personally, right?
Exactly.
But this is your life. This is your day to day. So, you know, maybe to some folks, like, they're like, I can't even imagine, but you're like, oh,
Yeah,
this
this
is
is my
nothing.
everyday. And then I look at
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people and I'm like, oh my God, your life is so lit. You know, so I think I need to do a better job at sitting back and just relishing in the things that I've accomplished because I've lived a
yes,
pretty crazy life, you know, and I've had
multiple
a lot of
lives.
challenges and a lot of ups too. So
Yeah,
I would say that's my thing I need to work on is just like giving myself a little more credit,
yes,
you know?
yes. Let's give ourselves our flowers. You
Yeah.
know, that's what we're all about, and that's what we try to do here at the Soft Life. Is, you know, give all the incredible human beings that we have the honor of speaking to their flowers, and just remind them of who they are, and tell their story in their own words.
I love that.
But let's talk about social media for a little bit,
Hmm.
because I know that you have quite a presence on multiple
Yeah.
platforms. Twitter,
I'm
now we got
everywhere.
Threads.
I'm everywhere. Oh my
it's
God.
it's like, yeah, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. But what is your relationship like with social media, being a full-time you know, creative entrepreneur, having a business that, you know, you also share a lot of your work online?
Hmm.
Tell us what your relationship is like. Is it toxic? Is
Social,
it
it,
healthy?
you know, I will say the farm changed my life when it came to social media because
Mhm.
it taught me about slowing down. I think if I were, because my goal, I was going to move to like either LA or Atlanta
Mhm.
before this. And I can't see it now because I was already like, I basically live in between two worlds. The outside world with the farm is a slow paced environment. I'm in nature all
Mhm.
day. The inside, when I'm doing this, when I'm on social, that is the fast paced world of marketing, social, all of that.
Yes.
So I've learned balance with social because I used to be outside. I used to be, and that was my oversharing phase when I used to just share
Mm.
everything, be everywhere, do all the things. Now, I would say I have a more recluse presence and I'm very selective about what I share. And
Yeah.
it's a little bit more calculated. And I don't want to say that it's not authentic, but it's just I'm more selective with what I decide to share.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that my relationship is better with it now. My job requires me to be online all the time. Either I am online, you know, figuring out what the hell is threads, you know, like what the fuck are we doing on here? You know, trying to keep my ear to the streets, you know,
Yeah.
so that
Yes.
people can so that I can give my clients that information. So, you know, it I don't want to say it's toxic. Some people may think it is, but I definitely know when to shut it off. I know when to be
Yeah.
quiet and to just go. Sometimes I'll go
Yes.
ghost for a week or two on
Yeah.
Instagram and I won't post. And I've found that that's what I need when it's time to pull back,
Mhm.
when it's time to take a break. I know how to do that now. Before I
Yes.
had no balance with that. I would be
Yeah.
online all day, all night, and had a full day the next day doing it again. And I never knew
Yeah.
when to like shut it off, you know?
Yeah, I'm honestly that leads perfectly into my next question, which is what do you do when you're reaching creative burnout? But it sounds like you already got it down packed. You got the
I've
system. You're
had
like,
burnout.
listen.
I've been like running on burnout for so long that when I finally hit rock bottom for me, didn't even know I was really sick. But I went to the doctor and I was like, "Hey, I have a headache," and the doctor
Hmm.
was like, "We ran tests," and she was like, "Girl, I don't even know how you are." Functioning. I had a kidney infection from not drinking water or holding my pee when I'm sitting at
Wow.
the desk, just,
Yeah.
not even thinking about it, like, oh, I'm gonna finish this and then I'll go use the bathroom. But ended up
Yeah.
getting like a kidney infection and I had all kind of issues. And so that's when I realized, like, okay, we've got to find a balance because there's nobody here telling me, hey, you need to get off the phone. There's
Yeah.
nobody directing me to do those things. So I had to figure that out on
Yeah.
my own. I don't travel as much as I would love to because of the farm. I
Mhm.
have to be here.
Right.
But I do things like I take baths a lot. I read
I know, I see.
yeah, I'm a water kind of baby.
Yes.
So water makes me just relax. So I take baths. I shut down for a week or two. Every month I try to just have a no social media week. So, usually when you don't
Yeah.
see me online, I'm in my little cave, you know. I read, I go outside, I play with my niece. My niece has her own business. She's an artist. And so I help her
That's
with
so
that.
dope.
Yeah. So I just do things with family. I spend time literally outside. I don't even, touch social
Yes.
media for that week.
Yeah. You're literally touching grass, which is
Touching
what more of
grass.
us that's
Yeah.
what more of us need to do is
I
go
run
outside and touch
outside
the
in this
grass.
rain. I'll run butt naked in the rain. Like I do all kind of stuff.
Ah,
Yeah, out
I
here
love
because it's so
it.
much land, nobody can see me. So I'm just
Yes.
I indulge in all of my senses.
I love that. You are no, you're literally living like you're living the dream, like just that
A lot of
freedom.
people tell me that. Thank you.
You are
Thank you.
1000%. We love it. I'm gonna vicariously teleport myself to a farm
Yeah.
so I can frolic butt
Yeah.
naked and just let go. That's probably what the solution
I
is.
will say with that, sometimes that makes me feel insecure. I'll be real with you. Sometimes that makes me feel
Mm,
insecure a little bit because my content doesn't look like everyone else's. And I'm like, am I boring? Because a lot of people were
no,
like, girl, why are you living out in the middle of nowhere? You need to be in a city thriving. And I'm like, well, this is kind of my circumstance. But when I see
yeah,
other people and they're going to all these events and stuff like that, I will
yeah,
say on social media, I'm weary of that. I'm like, don't
mm,
compare
yeah,
yourself to what you're seeing.
yes.
But sometimes I'm like, my content is not like popping enough, because I do the
I think
same
it's
kind of shit every
incredible.
day. Thank you.
I'll be waiting for your stories, just so
Oh,
you
I
know.
love
I'm
your
like, I'm
stories too.
ready.
And your
Thank
TikToks.
you.
I love your TikToks.
Thank you so much. I'd be ready to just like honestly, it's refreshing and being someone as you know, live in New York. I live in Harlem. I love it, but
Hmm.
it's a lot. Like
Yeah.
I want to go outside, but for New Yorkers to go outside, we have to plan to go outside. You know what I mean? Like if I
Yeah.
wanted to go to the park right now, that's a good like 10-minute walk from where I am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it's not like natural for us to just like be surrounded by
The
nature.
times I went to New
Um,
York, it was overstimulating for me.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
so
It's
overstimulating. I
it's a
loved it,
lot.
but it was a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot, and I do sometimes wonder, like, what would my nervous system be like if I was in a different environment sometimes, and just knowing that you have that like ability and that freedom to just go outside and dance in the rain, like that's some Drew Barrymore shit right there.
I
And
literally
I
be on literally like the other day, I was just like, it was raining so hard, and I was just like, I'm feeling stressed. I'm gonna take off all my clothes and I'm going outside and
yes,
running in this rain. And it just was so good for my like inner
oh,
child. So I do stuff like
I
that
love
often.
it.
Yeah.
I love that. Wow, that just put some life in me. I needed to hear
Thank
that.
you. Thank you so much.
I want to hear more about the community and the support system that you've built in your neighborhood, in your home, in
Hmm.
your environment. How I know that you mentioned your neighbors helped a lot with, the initial, I guess, ownership or kind of taking over the cult farms. But in what ways has community, whether it's your neighbors or people in your local area or friends and family, how have they supported your healing journey?
Ooh. So my neighbors have been really essential in just helping me acclimate out here.
Hmm.
I honestly could not do it without them. And it was hard for me because I'm used to growing up in a Black environment, and we own the largest property out where I am. So I'm surrounded by, white people. And that was something that I
Mm,
wasn't initially comfortable with because I wasn't used to interacting with a bunch of white people all the time. And
yeah,
so when I finally moved out here, they already knew who my family was. And, they were like, oh
mm,
my gosh, like I felt like they just were looking out for me. So my neighbor,
yeah.
I say my neighbor, but my neighbor is like way down. Like I'm the only one on my street. So when I say neighbor, I
Oh
mean like
wow.
another street over. They come over with their, dogs, and they help me put stuff out in the yard. They help me put my flag up. Like, they really, really look out for me because they know I'm out here by myself. And so they make sure that I'm okay and kind of make sure, ensure my safety. So I love that. And I love that they're helping me, learn about farming and agriculture. I know nothing about it.
Yeah,
So they're like, okay, this is the season that strawberries grow. If you're trying to grow some strawberries, put the seeds down now. So it's stuff like that
yeah,
that I really, really love, that they're helping me build onto my family's legacy. So I'll say they're a part of my
yeah,
community, definitely. Online community, it's been nothing but like love. People show me love all the time. They shout me out. They write me DMs. And, I think that's just because I've been transparent about my journey, and people
yeah,
look out for me, especially during when I lost my dad and, my granny. Those are really two pivotal people in my life. And a lot of
yeah,
people really came together and just put their arms around me. My
yeah.
mom, even though my mom, I don't see her often, but she lives across town, and she comes out here and sits with me and, greases my scalp, and we sit and talk on the porch
Oh,
and stuff like that. So I have a really good built-in community in different places with my neighbors, family, online community. They show up for me in different ways, but it's always just pouring
yeah.
into me and giving me that word of encouragement because I need that sometimes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I love that. And we always say that, like at Saddie Baddies, there is no self-care without community care, and vice versa.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
there's no self-care without community care. So knowing that you have those people in your life that are able to hold you and be there for you and with you
Hmm.
and support you and walk alongside you is pivotal, because you can't do this work, by yourself.
Yeah.
Even though you are doing, a lot of it independently,
Right.
it's like having those support anchors is
Right.
crucial with the type
Like
of
you'll
work.
never hear me say that I'm self-made, because even though this has been a
Oh,
solitary journey, like you
yes.
said, it's been an independent journey. I'm building a business kind of by myself. It hasn't been by myself. Like I would not have been able to do this without my family, without my
Yeah.
online community, without my neighbors. So a lot of people brag about being self-made, me, but I really would not be here without community. Like that is everything.
1000%.
Yeah.
1000%. I literally just tweeted that the other day. Like, we need to dead that term. Like, self-made,
Yeah.
there is no such thing,
And
because
if you are claiming that, then
yeah,
there's something there that needs to be worked out,
yes,
because you're not embracing your community.
exactly. Or you're
Yeah.
neglecting or ignoring the hands, whether they're visible or invisible,
Right.
who really, like, you know, helped you get there and like
Yeah.
prayed over you or giving you food, whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything counts. Everything counts. I want to know more about what your creative muses are, or your
Mm.
inspiration as a
Mm.
creative.
I have a
What are
lot
some of
of
the things you tap
inspo.
into?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I tap into, like, I am a very analog kind of girl when it comes to that. Like I try not to be on a lot of different people's stuff, because subconsciously you know you get that, and I think that that can pour into your work sometimes. So I'm really
Yes.
big on, like, I'm a whimsical person. Like I love Disney movies and just like fairy tales and stuff like that, which is playing off of FairyBrandMuva. But I watch a lot of
Mm,
Disney and like animation, and I read a lot, just to get
yeah.
my juices flowing. So I would say muses, I don't really have like a creative muse that I look to. I love um let's see, Tracy Ellis Ross. I love her. Everything she
Yes.
represents. I think that she's from top to bottom, like that girl. Beyonce, of
Yes.
course. I love her work ethic. I look to different people for different things, but I don't have any one muse. I kind of try to just go out and get inspiration from different things, from nature, from, you know, a movie or something like that. So I don't really have like a
Yes.
set muse, but I have people that I admire.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's so important to keep your, I guess, channels of inspiration really open and
Yeah.
really clear and
Yeah.
not fog them up so much with like, you know, what someone else is doing or what like
Right.
another like creative is doing and kind of like fall into that comparison trap. So
Yeah, because I've
I love
done that.
hearing that.
I've done that, and it's hard to get out of that when you're looking at other people's stuff all the time. So I salute my girls in the same industry, but I try not to, you know,
Yes.
ingest too much so that it doesn't, you know, subconsciously come out of me.
Exactly. Exactly. 1000%. Um, and my last question for you is what does softness mean to you as a Black woman?
Ooh, Lord. I had trouble embracing softness because I have been so hard. Like even my day to day being outside, like that is kind of a hard job because I'm digging and pulling and all that type of stuff. But I think that softness to me just means embracing femininity, embracing being. Like instead
Yeah.
of like forcing anything, just letting whatever it is flow. My dad always used to say, be like water, let things flow off of you. Don't be, you know, a dam and hold everything in. Like be soft, let the water flow, let things flow, let what people say about you flow, let the creativity flow. So that's softness to me, just letting things flow, letting things be and not forcing anything. Because when you have to force, that's where that toughness and hardness comes out, you know? So yeah, letting things flow means easing into that softness.
That is beautiful. That's a soundbite right there.
Period.
Period. Mic drop.
I
That's
love
so
it.
beautiful. That's so beautiful. Before we wrap up, of course, we have to do our rapid fire
Oh,
section.
yes.
So, little drum roll if you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So, first question is what are your three go-to self-care practices when you need a little pick-me-up?
Smoking weed. Love it. Music. I blast music all day. So
Mm.
I will jam out. Right now I've been listening to the Flyana, what is that? The girl that like runs.
Oh yes,
That's
yes.
been
The
kind of
two.
my,
Yep.
yeah, that's been my
Mm-hmm.
go-to. So blasting that full blast. And eating. Oh my gosh. I love a decadent eating experience, right? Like so I love going out to eat, getting me a little cocktail. That's an instant pick me up.
Yes, we love a good meal.
Yes.
That's like on it. It automatically boosts your mood.
Oh yeah, for
Love
sure.
that. Okay. Next question is what has been your favorite nail set that you have done so far? Because you have
Ooh,
the most Pinterest worthy nail sets. If y'all don't
thank
know what I'm talking about, again, you
you.
need to follow Dom because what are you doing?
I'm about to get a really dope set. I've been on a nail break since it's been summer and I've been outside so much, but I'm about to get
Mm.
this really dope set. I can't wait to show you. My favorite set would be I did some nails that were like it looked like weather, like a storm broadcast. You know
The
what I'm talking about?
heat map.
Yeah, the
Yes.
heat map. The
Yes.
heat map.
Yes.
That those are my
Yes.
favorite. Between those and the sky set that I did, the sky French
Yes.
set. Those are my two faves. But my
Those
girl
are
kills it
fire.
every time.
That's so dope. So, so dope. Yeah. If y'all are not following Dom, check out her nail sets. They are incredible works of
Thank
art.
you.
Okay. Next question is what is your favorite brand of champagne? Because I know you love your champagne.
Ooh, so I am collabing with I don't even know how to say their name correct. I say Moet, but I know it's not Moet.
I think it's
It's Moet,
Moe.
I believe. It's Moet.
Moe. I think the T silent. We know what you mean, girl.
You know what I mean. But
Yep.
I have a collab coming up with them soon. So yeah. So them, I would say, I love their brand, and I owned every bottle. I have a bottle waiting for me when we get done. For Friday.
Period. Period. Oh my God. I cannot wait to see this collab. This is going to be so dope. Congrats in advance.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Okay, so you are a Moe girl.
I'm a Moe girl.
Period. We love. Okay, next question. Insecure, the show, or Girlfriends?
Ooh. So I rewatched Girlfriends, and it was kind of problematic for me. So I'm gonna go with Insecure. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Insecure. Insecure was problematic too in some points, but I like Insecure. I'll choose that.
Fair. Yeah, I think any show before the year 2015 it's pretty problematic. Gonna be a little problematic.
Yeah, yep, so I would say Insecure, and it's definitely it parallels my life in a lot of ways.
Yes, I feel that. Okay, next question is, what are your favorite and least favorite things about your zodiac sign?
Ooh, oh my gosh.
Your sun sign.
My sun sign. Yes. My favorite thing about Leos is that we, just fire signs in general, fire sign women especially, you can tell, like it's a vibe. It's a vibe. Yeah, it's a vibe that you get from them. Vibe. So I think that I have a way of getting attention in any room I go in, or even social media. I feel like it's prominent. So I would say that Leos stand out. We're definitely a standout sign. My least favorite thing is the fieriness. Sometimes I can go a little too far. So I have to watch my mouth. Because Leos, we're fiery for sure.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, same. I was reflecting on what is like my toxic trait, and I'm like definitely jumping into conclusions. Yeah, like sure. That's a sport. I'm like, I'm a jump.
And even if I fall and break something, we still jumping, you know.
And the craziest part is like doubling down, and then like at the end of the day, I'm like, I just laugh it off.
I'm a double down. I've done that publicly and gotten dragged before, so that's a good lesson to learn. But yeah, I will double down. I will jump to a conclusion, and I will be completely strong and wrong, and still do it.
Loud and
wrong.
Oh my gosh, I feel seen. I feel so seen. Okay, last question. What are your three what are your three things that you must bring for a weekend getaway?
Ooh, let me see. A weekend getaway, what do I bring? I have to bring a bag of some sort, like some type of accessory. Like it has to pop. Some type of popping accessory for sure. Because that's how I express myself. Yes. A book, because I like to, like, usually when I go on vacation, I'll go and read or sleep somewhere. I just came from Atlanta and Miami for a couple weeks, and I just read and slept the whole time. So, so a good book. And I hate to say my laptop because that's so boring, but like I am a creative. So if I have that inspiration in the middle of somewhere, I need to be able to get to it quickly and like get it out of me.
We love it. Well, thank you so much, Dom. I had an amazing time.
Me too.
Speaking with you and connecting with you and getting to learn more about you and your story. You are amazing. You are a light, a force, and all the things and more. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Where can the baddies find you and follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at FairyBrandMuva _ I am the same name across all platforms. You can find me literally anywhere, everywhere. Same name.
Amazing. And we'll have, of course, all the links to your Cult Creative Agency, Cult Farms, and all the things in the show notes. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. I appreciate you. Thank you for everything you do.
Of course. Thank you so much. Introducing Saddie Baddies' very first product, My Journey to Self-Love, the ultimate self-care guide by Saddie Baddies. Your transformational self-care journey starts right here. We've created the ultimate self-care guide just for you, with over 60 pages designed to help you discover wellness routines and practices that actually fit your fast-paced lifestyle. Designed to be completed within 8 weeks, this self-care guide encourages you to take simple, practical steps through introspection and awareness to deepen your self-discovery and healing journey. To stay connected, join Saddie Baddies on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and more, and sign up for our monthly newsletter on SaddieBaddies.com to stay in the loop. Sending you hella love, and stay soft, baddie.